At the height of the Great Depression, the Barker-Karpis Gang was building a criminal empire that would stir up the Midwest. They were bank robbers that graduated from small-town heists to high-stakes multi-million-dollar kidnappings of the American elite. At the center of the criminal enterprise was a supposed villain, Ma Barker, the matriarch who Edgar Hoover branded as the most dangerous criminal mind in the country. We're digging into the true story of Alvin Karpis and the Barker brothers to discover if Ma was really a tactical mastermind of her son's crimes or just the FBI's most successful piece of propaganda.
Oh.
You're listening to Lurking in the Shadows.
Hello, Shadows.
Hello, everybody. Little new setup today if you're watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
And
New setup and new hairdo.
new haircut. So if you're not watching on YouTube, go check it out.
Yeah. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Lurking in the Shadows Podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, bunch of new little setups. Hopefully we can get this little studio to work out, and hopefully our sound's good.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll make some tweaks as we go along.
Yeah, this is all still a learning experience,
But
yeah,
we're together again.
Yeah. That's new too, I guess.
Yeah, that's
too many new
things.
Yeah. So. But I am covering another gang today because I think I'm going to make it like a little series of my own.
Yeah.
Of covering various mobsters and gangs because I'm kind of liking it.
Yeah, we'll sprinkle them in every
so often. Yeah, we won't overload you.
Yeah,
but I do think they're kind of interesting every once in a while.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'll jump right in. Kate Barker was born October 8th of 1873, so we're going back.
Oh yeah.
In Ash Grove, Missouri. Her parents, John and Emmeline Parker Clark, named her Arizona Donnie Clark, but she will go by a few different names by the end of this, but from here on, I'm going to refer to her as Ma Barker because that is what she is mostly known as.
Arizona's a cool name.
Right? I thought that too.
You don't really hear that.
No, that's not a popular name at all. I don't think I've ever heard anybody.
I've never been in Arizona.
Yeah. Growing up, her family did give her the nickname Ari that they would use.
I like that too.
Yeah, it's
like even my child Arizona.
It's a cute name.
Yeah, it is actually.
She was married in 1892 to George Barker in Lawrence County, Missouri. Together they had 4 sons. Herman was born in 1893, Lloyd born in 1897, Arthur was born in 1899, and Fred was born in 1901. George was more or less of a drifter when it came to work and supporting the family. The records of George's work history show that he worked hard, but the bouncing around from job to job shows the instability that these boys were raised up by.
Yeah.
Some of the jobs on George's records included Crystal Springs Water Company, a farmer, watchman, a clerk, and a station engineer.
I thought you were going to say crystal meth.
Close. Maybe that was sprinkled in there too. We don't know.
That's a little red herring.
Yeah. The family lived very unsettled, and both parents did not care about any of the children's education, making them mostly illiterate. And also probably the times. I mean, let's be real.
That's unfortunate.
Good 1800s of it all. This story will mostly include 2 of these boys, Arthur and Fred, but all of the boys would find themselves as career criminals. Herman, at 17 years old, committed highway robbery and ran over a child in his getaway car when he tried to flee.
Oh my.
He was arrested. Being the older child, Herman seemed to be the one that kicked off the career spree with all the siblings.
Do you know if that kid died?
I did not read that he had died, and he wasn't charged with murder, so for that. So I don't think he murdered the kid. He led his other siblings into this lifestyle that would then cross paths with the Central Park Gang. And this gang was known for robberies and their escapes from prison. On August 29th, 1927, in Wichita, Kansas, Herman found himself in a standoff with police after a bank robbery.
So you say Wichita. I said Wichita before, and Brandon's like, it's Wichita. And I was like, is it?
It's Wichita.
I thought it was Wichita.
It's Wichita.
That's what I thought. So.
Wichita.
Yeah, that sounds stupid, right?
It's not Wichita.
I didn't think so.
We're gonna get roasted for that.
Well, he said, not me.
He says, right. It's Wichita.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, Wichita for sure. Wichita. I feel like that's what you hear, like a meme or something.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like making fun of something.
You made me question myself. I was like, have I been saying that wrong my whole life?
No. He better not have been saying that his whole life.
I hope not.
Like,
He's from Maryland, so I don't know.
yeah. We'll let it slide.
Yeah.
So Herman found himself in a standoff with the police after a bank robbery. Herman shot one of the officers at point blank range in the face, and he had then stolen a car, and he crashed it where he had died, and it was reported that he crashed it on purpose then to avoid being caught. By 1928, the other siblings were all in prison for various robberies. Lloyd was in Leavenworth, Kansas, in the federal penthouse. Arthur was in Oklahoma at the Oklahoma State Pen, and Fred was in Kansas State Pen. While the boys were all locked up, Ma Barker was living alone in poverty. It was unsure when, how, or why George left the family. There were theories Ma threw him out, but what we believe is his son's criminal ways became too much for him.
Understandable.
Yeah. Even though he had no problems benefiting from their criminal, escapades. But after the death of Herman, it seemed like George just quietly removed himself from the family. In the report from the FBI, they claim that Ma Barker became, quote, loose in her moral ways and, quote, having outside dates with other men. And that is why George left. And that's according to the FBI. It was also reported that George openly supported his sons being punished for their crimes, while Ma Barker supported her sons as a mother and thought that they could do no wrong.
One of those.
Yes.
We've talked about those before.
Yeah. It's the mother in them.
Yeah. Yes. We wouldn't know.
Yeah, we wouldn't know.
Yeah.
This also caused arguments between the two, but either way, the boys were in jail and Ma lived in poverty alone for about 2 years in a dirt floor shack with no job. By 1930, a man named Arthur W. Durlop had moved in with her. According to the census, they were married, so together things slowly looked better. And for Ma Barker, things got even better for her when her son Fred was released from prison in March of 1931. When Fred was released from jail, his cellmate was released around the same time, and his name was Alvin Karpis. And these two came together to form the Barker-Karpis Gang. And there were 3 main members to this gang. First one, Frederick George Barker, was born in Aurora, Missouri on December 12th, 1901. The family relocated to Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1912. And his crime spree started with his brothers in the Central Park Gang. They would meet in the park to discuss these plans, and that is also where they would steal their stolen goods, was in the park.
Okay.
Karpis, the cellmate, described him as a dominant person in jail and used that to get perks in prison, like marijuana and contraband. But he also had that charming side to him, but the criminal side was described as a natural-born killer who didn't hesitate. And he would be released from prison then in 1931 for Karpis. So Alvin Francis Karpis was born August 10th, 1907 in Quebec, Canada. His parents were Lithuanian immigrants. He was raised, though, in Topeka, Kansas, and began his criminal career at the age of 10.
Wow.
Yeah. Back then, I mean, I really think a lot of them got, not that they all wound up being career criminals, but what were you doing back then other than getting into trouble?
Yes.
Like keeping themselves busy.
Yeah.
He found himself hanging out with pimps, bootleggers, and gamblers. At 19 years old, he was sent to a reformatory in Hutchinson, Kansas, for an attempted burglary. He would escape with his cellmate, Lawrence Duvall, and they would go on a year-long crime spree together. Duvall was eventually captured again, so Karpis lied low, living with his parents in Kansas City, Missouri. But he didn't lay low for long when he was arrested for stealing a car and was sent back to the reformatory in Kansas. We're trying to reform here.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Not working.
No. He was then transferred to Kansas State Pen, where he would then meet Fred Barker in prison. He would be released in 1931, and that is when he would leave and go and find Fred and the gang. The other gang members called him Ray, but he also had the nickname Creepy because of his sinister smile, which actually is what, like, in newspapers and stuff, he winds up, that's what they refer to him as, is Creepy.
Interesting.
Yeah. He is one of only 2 members that will be captured alive, and he would be the longest serving prisoner at Alcatraz, serving 26 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was a fun fact.
Yeah. As we mentioned, we were going to talk about Alcatraz.
Yeah, so it came up again, actually. Arthur Raymond Barker, who's the 3rd member, was born June 4th, 1899. He started his criminal career with his brothers, landing him in jail on July 18th, 1918 for stealing a car on the highway. He was sent to serve in Joplin, Missouri. After 19 months in jail on February 19th, 1920, he escaped from prison. He began going by Claude Dade after he escaped. He was caught again 11 months later for more robberies and was put in prison under the name Bob Barker from January until June of 1921. He was caught again 11 months later for more robberies and was put in prison under the name Bob Barker from January until June of 1921. It only took until It only took until August 25th, 1921 for Arthur to find himself back in prison. Arthur and 3 men, one of which worked at a construction site that this happened at, they decided to rob a woman that night. I don't know why she was there. It was construction site.
Yeah.
They were all very surprised when the night watchman, Thomas Sherrill, stumbled upon the men's Jesus Christ, stumbled upon the men and opened fire.
Yeah.
2 of the other men shot back at Sherrill, hitting him and killing him. The family of Sherrill hired a private investigator to find out who killed him, and this led them to the man, Volney Davis. He went by Curly. He was the man that worked at the construction site, and this led police to also then arrest Arthur for the murder. On January 14th, 1922, he was sentenced to life in prison for the murder, but always stood behind his innocence, that he wasn't one of the, because there was 4 men.
Yeah.
He said that he wasn't one of the ones that shot back.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was paroled then 10 years later on September 10th, 1932. This release sent him to find his brothers, where he joined the gang. He got the nickname Doc from the gang, and he was more known for his violent nature, while the other 2 were more of the brains of the robberies and the kidnappings. He becomes the other member captured, and he will spend 3 years in Alcatraz before being killed while he tries to escape.
Oh.
His cellmate would describe him as, quote, determined and ruthless, and that once he started on anything, nothing could stop him but death.
Well, he was right.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you're right. He was also described as a drunk and a thug. Yeah. So once Alvin was released and met up with Fred in March of 1931, they began their criminal career as the Barker-Karpis Gang officially on December 19th, 1931. They had committed a string of petty robberies, and when the sheriff of Howell County, Calvin Roy Kelly, saw the men, he approached them. They shot and killed the sheriff, causing them to flee, of course. They got to run now.
Shot the sheriff.
Yeah. Right. Good one. And they fled to West Plains, Missouri. They would make a stop in Joplin, Kansas, first, and then they would make their way later to Chicago. So they're like bouncing all around trying to run. While in Chicago, the men decided they were not interested in working under Al Capone, because that was an option then.
Okay.
Associate Jack Pfeiffer. Yeah, we'll say that. Pfeiffer.
Yeah, I think so.
Suggested they go to St. Paul, Minnesota, because the police there were corrupt, making it a great place for criminals. This is where they met and obtained the help of Harry Sawyer, a Jewish American crime boss, which I added him to our list to cover later.
Okay.
Yeah. I had never heard of him, so
Yeah, I've never heard of him.
He was also able to get his associate Helen Hemagraph to let the two men live at their home on Robert Street South in St. Paul. They began using their surname Anderson, but this only lasted a few weeks before Helen's son Nick recognized the men's pictures in a True Detective magazine. He reported this to the police, but what he didn't know is that Police Chief Thomas Brown, who went by Big Tom, was corrupt.
Yeah.
So he gave the men a heads up that police were coming. The gang became very close to Brown, who we will, from now on, call him Big Tom.
Okay.
He influenced the gang to go from robberies to kidnappers later on. While the gang fled, this is when Doc would join the gang while running from the law. These were the main members of the gang, but by the end of its reign, they had around 25 members. Of these members was Chicago outfit mobster Shotgun George Ziegler, who I mentioned in the North Side Gang episode, which is episode 25. If you guys want to check it out. And he was the one that was involved in the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Okay.
Yeah. So during all this, Ma Barker is just tagging along during all these criminal events. At this point, she was remarried to the man Arthur Durlop, who the gang could not stand. They thought that he was a pain in the ass. And after it got out that the police in St. Paul were tipped off about the gang, they believed Arthur was the snitch. And a gang can't have a snitch.
Yeah.
No. So we got to take care of that. So they murdered him when they traveled to their next destination in Wisconsin. His body was found naked with a gunshot wound to the head near Webster, Wisconsin.
Yeah. I wonder how his mom felt about that.
I don't know.
Did she suspect her sons did it? Like, did she know?
So we go over a lot more of Ma a little because there's controversy about Ma and what happened and the lies that the FBI may have told or what the true story is. Okay. So it's kind of a little up in the air of like how much Ma was new or involved in. So right now we don't really know as far as like, you know. Big Tom never faced any punishment for his involvement with the gang, but he was demoted to detective and would later be dismissed. So on the run, they need money, of course. Yeah. I mean, we're criminals. We're not going to work for it. So what else are career criminals to do but rob another bank?
Of course.
On March 29th, 1932, they robbed the Northwestern National Bank in Minneapolis, Minnesota. They had a shootout that killed 2 officers and 1 civilian. Once they reached Wisconsin to settle for a little while, Fred would put Ma in and out of hotels. The FBI stated this was because Ma didn't get along with the men's girlfriends. They claimed she tried to break up any relationships that her sons had. But other reports state Fred was just trying to keep his mom out of the bad spotlight that a career criminal's son comes with.
Yeah.
He didn't want her to know any information or be caught up in the middle of the problems.
What a stressful life to live.
Yeah, honestly. You're right. Always looking over your shoulder.
Yeah.
While in Wisconsin, they also robbed Second National Bank in Beloit on September 21st, 1932, stealing around $50,000 in that time's money. Later on, I do convert it.
Okay.
By December that year, the Barker-Karpis Gang was headed back to St. Paul, Minnesota. They robbed Third Northwestern Bank on the 16th of that month. And to me, it seemed like every few months they were probably running out of money and then they would just rob another bank. And that's, the
that's
pattern.
Crazy.
Yeah. Like, oh, we're getting low money. Better go rob another bank. Yep. By June 1933, they were tired of the small money from bank robbing, so they decided to kidnap wealthy businessman William Ham. He was part of the family that owned Theodore Ham's Brewing Company. He was the grandson of the founder and president at the time. This brewing company was established in 1865 in St. Paul after another brewery owner named A.F. Kelly skipped out on his payments and went to the gold rush in California. It survived Prohibition by selling non-alcoholic drinks like soda and other food products. They became the 5th largest brewery in the United States by the 1950s.
Wow.
Its most popular product was Ham's beer, with the slogan "From the land of sky blue waters." So, if anybody listening is old school, they might recognize that
Yeah,
beer.
maybe.
It went out of business in the 90s, 1990s.
okay.
So, but they were around for a long time, actually.
Yeah.
Ham was working in his office that evening in June when he left the building for the night. 4 men grabbed him and threw him in the back of a car. He was taken to Wisconsin, where he is held for a $100,000 ransom.
Wow.
The Barker-Karpis Gang had it all planned out. They made Herman sign 4 ransom notes, and then they moved him to Bensenville, Illinois, where he was kept until the money was paid. When they received the money, they released him in Wyoming, Minnesota, and everything went off flawlessly until new technology was used by the FBI, actually. And we didn't really go over this too much in our DNA. I thought this was interesting. But on September 6, 1933, they used what is now known as latent fingerprint identification. This is when they take silver nitrate and they dusted the ransom note used in Ham's case. Silver nitrate sticks to the salt that's in your sweat on your hands,
Okay.
which then shows the fingerprints. The chemical reaction between the silver nitrate and the salt makes silver chloride, and that gave police the fingerprints of Doc, Karpis, and Fred.
That's cool.
Yeah. So way back then.
Yeah.
know?
Wow. You say what? 33?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That money lasted them until January, when mob boss Harry Sawyer ordered the gang to kidnap the next wealthy victim, Edward Bremer. He was the next target, and he was the president of Commercial State Bank. It was also reported that Bremer wasn't just targeted for his wealth, but his father, who was the owner of Schmidt Beer, started a dispute with Sawyer. Apparently, Sawyer's gang helped Bremer's father through Prohibition by helping them bootleg their alcohol.
Okay.
See, Ham, they switched to different products during the Prohibition. Some other companies went the criminal way and depended on criminals to keep their business alive. So that's what he did. But once Prohibition was done in 1933, the Bremers cut ties with the gang, probably costing them a decent amount of money, I would imagine. Yeah. So this made Sawyer angry and kind of put a target on their backs. But it was also reported that Bremers were not very nice and were a selfish, ill-tempered family. So they had a lot of enemies. It was
sounds like.
On January 17th, 1934, Bremer was taken on his way to work right after dropping his daughter off at school. 2 men approached him. One of them was Doc Barker. He began pistol whipping and punching Bremer until he forced him into the back of his own car. They placed a blindfold on him, but then struggled to start the car and had to ask him where the starter was. They later abandoned this car and switched to another vehicle. When Bremer's car was discovered, they thought he was killed due to the amount of blood that they found inside. I bet they probably broke his nose and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. They drove him to Brentsonville, Illinois, where he was kept in a small room while the gang demanded $200,000 from his father. This is equivalent to $4.9 million nowadays.
That's crazy.
$4.9 million. Yeah. He was told his family would be killed if anyone went to the police. They also forced him to give the names of the people who could be like middlemen to do the transaction.
Yeah.
He decided to give the name of longtime family business partner and chauffeur Walter McGee. Big Tom, the corrupt sheriff, got word that McGee informed police of the gang's involvement. This, of course, infuriated the gang, so they threatened to kill Bremer and McGee. Adolf, the father, refused to pay the ransom without proof of life. Doc and Karpis were able to talk down Fred from killing them, both of McGee and Bremer. So they made Bremer write another note that begged for him to be returned to his family. Adolf tried to haggle the ransom down, which, like, your dad's like, you know what? I don't know if I can pay that much. It's my son's life, I get it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's terrible. But he tried to haggle the ransom down, which came with more death threats, because, you know, that infuriated the gang, of course. But in the end, the ransom was paid. McGee dropped off a bag full of cash that shotgun George Ziegler collected, and then he drove Bremer down a deserted road and kicked him out with very little money in his pocket in the middle of nowhere, and he had to find his own way back.
Wow. That's scary.
Yeah. This was on February 7th that they kicked him out and returned him. And once he made his way back, traumatized, of course.
Yeah.
He was worried about the gang coming to get his family or his wife or his kids. So he went right to the FBI and told them everything he knew, including the gang's involvement with the mob boss Sawyer. The FBI labeled Doc and the ringleader and public enemy number one at this point. They also had taken record of all the serial numbers from the ransom money so that they launched a huge investigation to try and find the gang. The gang knew they needed to go get rid of this dirty money, but now that the word was out about the gang's involvement and the FBI creeping in, other criminals had no interest in helping them launder that money. Ziegler was shot dead on March 21st, 1934 by unknown assassins in a drive-by. Sawyer arranged for the money then to be laundered in Cuba, but when the gang went down to do that, they got nervous that the FBI would be able to trace them there. They found themselves in Miami, staying at El Commodore Hotel under fake names. In this room was another member, Harry Campbell, Fred, and Ma Barker. They were all here. While there, Fred chatted with the hotel manager and asked about a quiet place to live. He suggested his friend's house that he had to rent in Lake Weir, Florida. Is that how he said? Lake Weir, we'll say, Florida. They decided to move there in December of 1934. They decided to stay in Lake Weir? No, I messed up.
Yeah, I don't know if it's where or Weir.
Yeah, okay. They decided to stay in Lake Weir, Florida, while Doc decided to go to Chicago on the lookout for their next criminal project. While in Chicago, him and his associate, Byron Bolton, were recognized by police and arrested on January 8th, 1935. Russell Gibson, called Slim Gray, was shot and killed by police when he resisted arrest. He was described as heavily armed, and he had a bulletproof vest on. Doc held his tongue, refusing to give any information to the FBI, but Bolton over there spilled all the beans.
Oh, okay. There's always one.
There's always one. Doc is like, I'm going down with my brothers, and Bolton's absolutely not. He was told that he would be given a lighter sentence in exchange for the information. He provided a map of where the house was and Lake Weir, Florida. Weir, whatever it is.
Lake W.
Yeah, Lake W, that's right. Where Fred and Ma Barker were hiding out still at this time under the name Blackburn. On January 16th, 1935, before the sun was up at 5 a.m., a horde of agents surrounded the little cottage in Florida. Earl Connolly led the group, demanding the Barkers come out with their hands up and surrender. They heard no response for 15 minutes until they called again. They waited a few more times, continuing to call for them to come out and surrender. They finally threw in tear gas, and this is when they heard from the house, "All right, go ahead," as the upstairs lit up with the rapid fire of a machine gun out the top window.
Oh, wow.
This started a nearly 5-hour-long shootout between officers and those in the house.
Dang.
Up until around 10:30 a.m., a few random shots came from the house until they didn't. They sent Willie Woodbury inside with a bulletproof vest on, and inside he had found that Ma and Fred Barker were dead, and they were the only two inside.
Mom's dead.
Mom's dead. There is one main member missing, though, from the group, and that is Alvin Karpis, who was known as the Brains. He was on the run and lying very low until he was spotted in April of 1936. Earlier that month, director J. Edgar Hoover was challenged by Tennessee Senator Kenneth McKellar when Hoover was requesting more funds at a hearing. McKellar asked Hoover how many arrests had he actually made in response to the request for more money. This caused Hoover to vow he would be there to take down the next big criminal. This is why Hoover was there in late April in New Orleans, where Karpis had been spotted. The team of agents staked out his apartment on Canal Street for a few days, when on May 1st they saw Karpis leave his apartment with two men just after 5 p.m. They got into a Plymouth coupe, and this is when Hoover signaled for the other agents to surround Karpis and cuff him. What's funny is not a single one of those FBI agents brought handcuffs that day.
What? So how are you going to take him into custody?
So the one agent took off his tie and tied Karpis's
God.
hands behind his back to officially arrest.
How do FBI agents not have handcuffs?
Not a single one brought handcuffs that day. Yep.
That's insane.
Yeah. They were probably so embarrassed.
They should be.
Like, Hoover's there, like, cuff him. Well, boss.
How do you want us to do that?
Yeah. So they tied his hands with a tie.
Wow.
Yeah. He was taken by Hoover all the way back to St. Paul, where he would plead guilty to the kidnapping and receive life in prison. After he spent time in Alcatraz and a few various other prisons, he was paroled then in 1969. He went to Canada and then Spain, where he wrote two books called The Alvin Karpis Story and On the Rock. He died then on August 30th, 1979, of what was believed to be natural causes, but there were various reports of, could have been foul play, suicide, and, so I'll say undetermined.
Okay.
Yeah. And I want to end with the controversy about Ma Barker. So after the shootout, Ma is betrayed After the shootout, Ma is betrayed by newspapers and headlines, mostly fueled by the words of Hoover. He claimed Ma was, quote, the most vicious, dangerous, and resourceful criminal brain of the last decade, end quote. This inspired movies like Bloody Mama and Public Enemies. But historians believe Ma Barker did not participate in the crimes, and the FBI painted her in a way that could justify killing an old woman. There was no proof she influenced them at all, but as the mother, she obviously knew about them, and she was around them,
Some sort of influence.
Yes. They believe they even used Ma as a helpful disguise to go under the radar a little more while on the run. A seemingly harmless little old lady that paid her bills and had sons that cared about her. Other gang members even reported that the boys would send Ma to the movies for like her own little day date while they were doing all their criminal activities. So it was reported like Fred and them really didn't want Ma to be involved in it. And so they would like, how about you go to the movies today, Ma?
Send her away.
And they're out there robbing banks. Yeah, so. A quote from Karpis's book, the most ridiculous story in the annals of crimes is that Ma Barker was the mastermind behind the Karpis Barker gang. She wasn't a leader of criminals or even a criminal herself. There is not one police photograph of her or a set of fingerprints taken while she was alive. She knew we were criminals, but her participation in our careers was limited to one function. When we traveled together, we moved as a mother and her sons. What could look more innocent? End quote. And I have to agree. I think, honestly, that Ma was probably mostly innocent.
Yeah, I mean, I think she definitely knew what they were doing. Like, there's no way she didn't. But I don't know how involved she was in it.
I think she probably, till the end, even if, because there was also controversy of whether she was involved in that shootout at the end.
Yeah.
But I believe, in the end, as a mother, if a son said to you, well, this is it, Ma, you know, here's a machine gun, I bet they're going out guns blazing.
Yeah, because, I mean, you even said before, she said they could do no wrong.
Yeah. I think she also had that attitude of, like, you know, to the end of the days, you know, she was like, my baby boys.
She's gonna defend them.
Yeah, because they were in and out of prison their pretty much whole, not even just adult life.
Yeah.
You know, so I think she was just a very supportive mother that...
A little too supportive.
Yeah, like, honestly, but, like, she probably looked at it as, like, if I didn't stick with my sons, what else is she going to do? Live in a poverty dirt floor?
Right, yeah.
You know, so
she needed them at the end of the day.
Yeah, at the end of the day, she needed them, and they were... I mean, that was their mother, so...
Yeah, so they're not going to leave her behind.
No. Yeah. That is the story of the Barker-Karpis gang and Ma Barker.
Yeah, and didn't know any of that.
No! Yeah, me neither. We can thank Steph for the suggestion for that. So
our techie person.
Yeah.
Unofficially.
Yeah. Unofficial hired to tech manager. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something. We'll get a title.
Yeah. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed that one. Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah. And any other gang suggestions or mob bosses too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's a million. Even like I said international or something. That would be cool.
Yeah, any suggestions you have. And just as a note, like if you guys listen to us on like Apple or Spotify, please follow us. It helps out our show. Don't just listen, please hit the follow button too.
Yeah. And then also you get notified whenever our episodes drop and stuff.
And we have bonus episodes sometimes and you want to know when they're coming.
Yeah. Yes. Stay on top of it.
Yeah.
It's the only way I can stay organized.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Please give us a thumbs up if you like this video and check us out on all of our other socials.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to be notified of future uploads. And keep lurking around for our next video.
Bye!